Aquarius, it was really uncanny how many times the devil, the death, and the tower card showed up in these readings. Or sometimes all of the above are pretty close too. Now you lucked out, you only got the tower card. And you received a lot of sword cards, but swords represents Aquarius. Air, communication, words. Another prominent feature of these readings was a really negative card showing up with a really positive card paired with it. And they counterbalanced each other into harmony in a really strange way. And it's kind of like an acceptance of defeat and victory at the same time. Now the cards on the left for your past, you received the Knight of Swords and the Two of Wands. The Knight of Swords is an extremely aggressive energy. He comes blasting into your life. Or maybe it's you blasting through your life. Because this can represent you, swords. And if it's someone else, it's somebody close to you or in your surrounding environment, like your work environment. He's warning you not to make any reckless decisions, not to do anything rash. It's actually a call to action to slow down, and that's a paradox in itself. And the Two of Wands is about making decisions, partnership, and balance. But all of this is just in the planning stage. And he is a good example about slowing down when you make decisions, because he's just standing there looking over the horizon, holding the world in his hand, realizing how many opportunities he has and which ones should he choose from. Now the cards on the right for the base of your spine for what I call sourcing and urgings, which is your experiences from even past lives all the way up to the present and how your unconscious inner self feels about it. You receive the Tower and the Hanged Man. I think your tower has had some fault lines running underneath it for quite a while, and it was really destined to collapse. But it's like a release and sometimes even a relief, because it's freeing you from bondage of some sort. And it's bringing a spiritual awakening. There's been some sudden change in circumstances and maybe even a failure of a relationship or some type of beliefs that you held close to your heart. It's telling you to get rid of the unneeded things in your life and go into a self-correcting mode. It wants you to accept what is needed over what is wanted. And that change is coming and taking away the negative forces. And now we have the choice of which way the Tower falls. Strangely enough, the Tower is a neutral card. And it's up to you which way it falls. And you do have the Two of Wands over there for making a decision. But the governing card for the Tower is the Hanged Man. It's telling you to take a time out and go on a spiritual journey away from the distractions of your life. I always find that when I'm in a subjective environment that it's really hard to make decisions. But when you get out of it, you're able to be a lot more objective in your decision making. And the Hangman wants you to acquire some wisdom on this spiritual journey. And he's telling you to go with the natural flow of things and stop opposing the physical world around you. And once you gain some enlightenment, then you start seeing things in a different light. And then it's time to relinquish the old, because the new is avidly seeking its place. You know, if you didn't make any decisions, or if you didn't make the right decisions, the cosmos will make it for you. And that's why the Tower collapsed. This card comes in when it's needed. And when there's needed change. Now the cards up above for your pelvic and your sacrum for what I consider awakening. It could be spiritual awakening, but it's growth of all kinds, as well as sexual prowess. Receive the Four of Wands and the Page of Cups. The Four of Wands has been showing up in all different places with the strangest cards paired with it. It's kind of funny that we, as collective citizens, are actually living through a lot of the same things in its own unique, different way. And that's why I think we're seeing these same cards kind of showing up in all of these readings. Now, the Four of Wands is a celebration card. This is also a time out to enjoy your accomplishments. But it's also associated with rites of passage, reunions, engagements, weddings, birthdays, graduations. And I know in the Northern Hemisphere, a lot of graduations are coming up and there's a lot of engagements and weddings. So maybe you'll be celebrating with some friends and family for that. And that'll be spiritually uplifting. Whatever it is, it's foretelling positive ascensions in your life with success in business, marriage, friendship, but it has a heavy emphasis on family. And it can also say that you're releasing something that was constricting your life. And maybe that's connected with the Tower card. And maybe all of this celebration will have kind of a dreamy atmosphere to it because the Page of Cups is about earthly emotions connected to spiritual awareness and intuition. And he connects sixth sense that drifts him off into other dimensions. Love is his aim. Fantasy's his game, and the spiritual world is his plane. So when you see the Page of Cups, you have to take your rose-colored glasses off. Because a lot of times he's depressed from unrequited love, or he's walking on clouds because he just fell in love, and he doesn't balance his emotions because he's immature. But on top of that, he lacks experience. So it's kind of like your emotions are unsettled and adrift. And you're looking for a grounding force. Where you're going to find it above in the solar plexus for sensing and feeling. Because you receive the Queen of Swords and the High Priestess. Now these two are dipolar opposites. Now here the Queen of Swords can represent you then again. Swords, air, communication. And she's a real cut and dried woman. She makes her decisions with reason and logic and dispenses with emotions. And is very independent, and she wields that sword because it's the sword of truth. She knows when people are lying to her. And she's very shrewd and clever because she can foresee like a chess game 3 or 4 moves ahead that other people are not seeing. Now on the other hand, the High Priestess is about intuition. She's the guide that connects the cosmos with the earthly. And she brings really subtle messages that you have to be vigilant in order to understand. And this could be an inner voice, gut feelings, dreams, coincidences. It's not written in another language, but you just have to recognize it and be able to interpret it. Now the Queen of Swords is connected to the main central card, the Strength card. And this is the heart of the matter. And you receive Strength and the Lover's card. Strength is reminding you that the spirit of man requires constant taming. But we also have to identify the beast in other people that we need to tame too. You need to find courage and resilience in difficult situations. And I'll tell you, when you have the Lover's card, there's always a difficult situation. It is about making decisions, just like the Two of Wands. But this is a decision between vice and virtue, good and bad, the duality of life. Sometimes you have to override your impulsive desires that are in between grace and temptation, and connecting your unconscious versus your conscious self, and your physical versus your spiritual self. It's telling you to get in touch with yourself. Have the strength, because once you get strength, you have patience and confidence. Now down on the bottom right, for your throat, for communicating and teaching, You see the Page of Swords and the Six of Pentacles. Now the Page of Swords is even younger and more immature than the Knight of Swords. So you've digressed a little bit, and maybe you're not paying attention to what you've learned in life. With the inexperience of the Page of Swords, he doesn't have any emotional control. He says very hurtful things. He's the guy that walks into the party and everybody goes, "Oh no, there he is." I mean, it's not the person that you want as a coworker or a neighbor. He's always looking for dirt on people. He's a spy master. And he also gossips a lot because air, swords, and you really have to rally up that strength card up above and use that energy to curb this type of environment that this Page of Swords is making. Now the Six of Pentacles is a really strange card to have with the Page of Swords. It's the alms card. It's about charity, but it has a lot of levels to it because are you the giver or are you the receiver? And this is about balance of incoming and outgoing, especially for finances. But then again, Pentacles is also health and well-being. The card tells you that you'll never be without because there is abundance involved in this card and stability and security as well, financial and hopefully well-being. That is if you can override this energy of the Page of Swords. Now the cards up above for your third eye for seeing and envisioning. You receive the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Cups. How wonderful. You know, the fates of fortune are on your side and the wheel is on the upswing. The evil in your past can be transmuted into good fortune in your future. The wheel is the beginning of an end and the end of a beginning with a rebirth in sight. And the Ten of Cups is the happiness card. It's a glimpse of heaven over the rainbow of cups, but there was a lot of trials and tribulations to get you to this point. And a lot of times it has an emphasis on family, just as the Four of Wands had. But what you have to do for this happiness is to live a simple life, because a complicated life is not a happy life. Now the cards up above for your crown for knowing and understanding. You receive the Nine of Swords and the Six of Swords. Now the Nine of Swords is a sorrow card. Something happened that's bothering you so much that you're staying awake at night worrying about it. Or maybe there's some resentment, remorse, but you're in a morass. You're in some deep despair. And you're desperate for some hope and relief. Nothing can be so dire that you have to be in personal torment. It's time to let it go and move on, and that's what the Six of Swords is saying. It's a card about moving on, moving away, moving from turbulent to tranquil waters. It's a card about travel, and perhaps maybe you'll be doing some. But now it's time to sail away from the confusion and tribulations that you've been feeling. Whether you had to flee or just leave a situation, it really doesn't matter now. It's just time to let it go. Now the future cards are the Emperor, the Page of Pentacles, and the Magician. Now the Emperor is a cornerstone of responsibility and structure and organization. He takes a handle on his life and makes rules and regulations to make civility. What he's doing is taking control. And that's what he wants you to do too. Now this could also represent an elder, a patriarch, or somebody you go for advice. And the Page of Pentacles is what I call Mr. Responsible. He knows where he's going. He researches things and knows where he's going and how he's going to do it. And that's related to the Magician too, because the Magician makes something out of nothing. He takes mere ideas and takes a source from the cosmos and turns them into substantial things. with his willpower. He's telling you that you have all of the tools to rebuild your life or to build a good life and to make some changes, because change had come. It was mandatory. The tower fell. Which way it falls is really up to you. And I pulled a During Virtue, Messages of the Angel card, and you received Shanti. I am the angel of peace. I bring you new tranquility and a smoother road ahead. And I would say, really, after all of this and the tower falling, the best card that relates to this is the Six of Swords. It's moving from turbulent to tranquil waters. And I wish you acceptance, peace, and happiness.